Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on Storm Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. Finally get a chance to do a blog here today, highlighting the severe risk for today. Slight risk, not in our viewing area. It's mainly right along the Kentucky-Tennessee border southward, and then another area closer to the low pressure itself that is cutting through the Great Lakes. Tomorrow, a chance for stormy East Kentucky, and that's going to be early in the day. Otherwise, we're drying things out, and then as we get into Friday, looking A-OK. So let's talk about this afternoon. We've had a round of rain this morning. Now we've got some spotty thunderstorms beginning to pop up, some more organized activity in western Kentucky, all reacting to pockets of sun that have been breaking out. We haven't had much sun yet in downtown Louisville, but to the south of us and across Indiana, yeah, you're seeing some sunshine. And then it's going to be probably enough to get some of these to erupt here and produce perhaps some brief gusty winds of about 30 to 40 miles per hour. Could we get one or two that could approach severe limits? That is possible. Because we are trying to heat things up. I wouldn't rule it out across central Kentucky, but it's going to be isolated if it does happen at all. A better chance for that, though, where there is a little bit better pocket of wind moving through, and better instability, too. There's quite a bit of sun this morning in this area in Tennessee, and that's why that slight risk is out. And again, it's a little more iffy for Kentucky, but I would argue that the slight risk probably could have extended a little more into Kentucky based on some of the sun that's coming out here for this afternoon. All right, so looking at the wind shear parameters, again, at 40 or higher is usually we look at for the potential for severe weather, at least on a more organized scale. We're seeing mainly pockets of 25 to 35 over us, and mainly 35. There's a little bit of a 40 there in Illinois, but overall, just below the main threshold for widespread severe weather. That's why this is a marginal event when it comes to damage winds especially. And when it comes to CAPES, the instability, how much energy you have, not too bad, about 500 to 1,000 right across central Kentucky, and then they do go up slightly where the sun's been out there in West Tennessee. But again, about 1,000 isn't off the charts. It is enough to, again, produce isolated potential for wind damage and maybe some small hail, but a lot of rain moving through here. Now, when it comes to helicity, which is basically the idea, we're looking at tornado potential. Well, the front is becoming a little more east-west in nature and not so much north-south. If it were north-south, these values would be much more impressive and we would have much more of a tornado concern. But because the front is becoming a little more tilted and more horizontal, there's less directional shear. In other words, the winds are parallel to the front. And therefore, you have more speed shear than anything. So helicity values, we look at that. Once you get about 300, you really got to be concerned. But even 100 is kind of iffy. Even at that point, you can see these values are not even really in that territory. So tornado threat remains very low. It's not zero, as you can see, but it is very low because of the idea of the wind fields and how they are set up over us at the moment. Now, when it comes to looking at future casts for the rest of this afternoon, again, showers, thunderstorms rolling through here this afternoon. Another batch will move through later on tonight. This is a secondary wave. Looks like it'll pass through and then should be out of here just in time for sunrise on Thursday. Another model shows that we'll have another round again later on this evening, another round toward sunrise tomorrow, but it looks like that's going to be the last of it. By the time we get to 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, we should be able to break out into some sunshine and get ready for a gorgeous first day here of the Kentucky State Fair. Because I do think the rain's going to be out of here early enough. The clouds are be the stubborn part, but I think for the afternoon, most of us will be in the 70s and kind of hover there into the evening, into the 50s, it looks like, for Friday night for our football games. Friday night, touchdown Friday night starts this Friday, by the way. So good-looking weather. Once we get past these couple of waves tonight, and then very early tomorrow, the rest of the forecast here is looking really easy. Another proof of some clearing here, looking at the sounding from the NAM model, showing that anytime you get the temperature and dew point line, the green and the red here, starting to separate, we're beginning to get dry air to work its way in, and we see that about 9 o'clock in the morning. So it may be cloudy at 8 in the morning, it may be cloudy up to about 9 a.m. But once we get past 9 a.m., this dry air is going to work its way in, and we'll get more and more of that sunshine. So be patient with the clouds in the morning, but I do think it's going to be a steady enough process that we're not too concerned about the clouds being locked in all day. So what lies ahead for us? So first off, here's all the moisture we have now. The front moving through. It gets wiped out tomorrow and Friday. Stays wiped out. Very comfortable on Saturday. But then Sunday to Monday, a little wave kind of rides into here. Narrow belt of moisture before we dry out yet again later Monday night. The little waves are going to be tracking. Now, the model's been trending drier with this. The low pressure is a little more to the north on today's runs. And it's got a cold front with it. Again, not a lot of moisture here. This is the Canadian model. Here is the GFS model. Again, not a whole lot of moisture to talk about. And here's the European model. Slightly more trying to show up. And timing varies slightly here, but it looks like to be late Sunday, early Monday, probably a nocturnal event if timing holds there. But you can see the trends are for drier than anything, but it will reinforce some cool air once again as we head into the new week ahead. And looking ahead, we can see that little cool blast there passes on through next week. And then we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen with this ridge, whether or not it gets established in the southeast, we build the heat in or not, because that will determine the tropics. We have Tropical Storm Danny now. A lot of debate whether Danny is going to go in the Gulf or go up the East Coast. We could have another system actually could develop off the Atlantic here and impact the East Coast by the beginning of September. So the tropics are about to get a little more active because we're getting ridging building into the southeast part of the country, something that has not happened much at all this summer. And when you have ridging, that allows the winds to relax over these warm waters. We call that the shear. The shear relaxes, and tropical systems then can get going. So far this season, we've had so many fronts coming through and so much activity, there's been enough wind around, these tropical systems just can't get going at all. And that's why it's been so quiet so far for the Atlantic and the Gulf. But we're seeing trends. It keeps delaying. Every day I look at this, keeps pushing it back a day or two. But toward the very, very end of August and beginning of September, signs the ridge may try to build, which would mean hotter weather for us and the tropics becoming more active. But that remains still a big if. We'll keep an eye on it, obviously. But let's enjoy the nice weather coming our way. We've really got some beautiful fall weather in store for us once we get through these storms tonight. It's really looking fantastic for the next 6 to 7 days, if not longer. All right. We'll see you today beginning at 5 o'clock.